Hey, Brian. Thank you.
Oh boy. I guess we got to get this show on the road. I want to go there. I want to go. Yeah, we got a regular. I really want to go to that tavern over there.
Okay.
We'll meet you there, or we'll just FaceTime
Okay.
with you and talk.
I need to get on there soon. Who's going to be over there?
You got it.
Appreciate it.
We probably got it posted.
Okay, guys. We were just sticking around in the heat of battle, and I wasn't even thinking of.
I need to look early.
I'd like to.
But it's gonna be the same conversation.
All right.
We're not the
Okay, thank you. Okay. No problem. No problem. No problem.
Some of it I
Thank you.
Oh, I get it totally.
Let's go. We gotta go.
You're limited to a 27-inch digital. They don't even make that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah.
don't.
But I mean, it's tough too. It's like the people who live
What's
and
that?
work here, the ones that make like the planning board, zoning board. I mean, they're all the ones that, you know.
We don't have one.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, we'll just, hey, Josh, I'll explain that. Let me call to order the February 15th meeting of the Town Board of Commissioners for Highlands, North Carolina. The first item on the agenda is a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. This is a new venue, and we have had a breakdown where we do not have a flag in the room tonight. We'll make sure that that's corrected next time, so we'll forego the pledge. But would you please now join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is a statement of conflict of interest. I remind the commissioners that if they have a conflict of interest on any item we cover tonight, that they will need to disclose it. The other item will be a public comment period. So
We can backtrack.
we'll backtrack. Let us stand and do the pledge of allegiance.
Save the day.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Lester. Now let me go back to item number 4, and that is public comment. If anyone would like to make a public comment tonight, if you'll please come down to the front and the table. We have the microphone. The floor will be yours. Hope you'll keep your comments to around 3 minutes and state your name for the record.
Mayor Taylor and Commissioners, thank you for your business roundtable. It was very informative. I make a formal request that we have a similar roundtable for residents and neighborhoods.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other comment, public comment? Hearing none, let me now go to item number 5 to review and approve the agenda. Do we have any changes or additions to the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And I always ask that you raise your hand because we do broadcast this on YouTube, and that lets our remote guest see the vote. All right, the next item would be the approval of the January 18th regular meeting minutes. Do we have any changes, clarifications?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one comment that, to be honest, slipped by me at the January meeting regarding the chamber events calendar, which we approved.
Right.
To be honest, I'm having a little trouble with it. It was presented to us verbally as same as last year. However, we are rebranding the Meander in May, which I think was probably the same thing as what used to be the Sip and Stroll. What it used to be was one day. And what we were sold last month is now 3 days.
Would you like for them to come back?
I would
Yeah,
love
get
to have them come back in
Clarification. Okay,
and represent,
all right.
if that's legally possible.
Represent the entire agenda or
No,
just that?
just
item?
that.
Just that one.
Thanks.
Bobby, what's your opinion on that?
Mayor, I'm not sure I completely understand what the question is for me.
Asking the chamber to come in and clarify an event that we approved at the last meeting. Do you see any problems with that?
I actually have a revote,
Okay,
a representation of that particular item. Since as far as I'm concerned, it was misrepresented.
Certainly, the commissioners are entitled to request them to come with clarification, come back before the board. And if the result of that is that you change your decision about how you voted, that's certainly permissible going forward.
okay. We'll put in that request then.
Okay.
Okay, but we do have any other comments about the minutes of the January 18th meeting? Okay, second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand and saying aye. Thank you. Okay. The next item would be the report, starting with the mayor. Let me go over a couple of things. I've got some thank yous tonight. One, thank you to DOT. I like to sometimes criticize them, but they did a great job of responding to that washout on the Gorge Road and getting the road repaired even ahead of projected schedule. So I appreciate what they did on the Gorge Road. Also want to express my appreciation to the Macon County Board of Commissioners for moving forward last night with the high school and also moving forward with funding in the building of the pre-K facility in the Highlands School, redoing or upgrading the middle school and also the media center and making those needed upgrades. So I appreciate what they have done in moving forward in providing excellent education for all the students of Macon County. And then I wanted to report that Josh Ward and I had a very interesting meeting today, kind of relates to the business and what George Powell was talking about outdoor recreation. We had two major representatives from the U.S. Forest Service meet with us this afternoon, and two representatives from Congressman Edwards' office. And we met in my office and went over the old plan that was, I didn't realize, I thought it was shorter than this, but about 20 years ago, there was a plan to put a parking lot on Paul Walton Way. It's there. We have an old house, the McCall house that was located there that captures the old cabins that were built by our founders of this community. And the concept was to create a trail from that venue over to Dry Falls, where you'd have a sky bridge going over 64 and walking down to the falls. We met at my office and then we went and actually did a site visit. Those plans are still very strong and in detail. And we had a good conversation about getting that started again, where funds could be directed to the U.S. Forest Service to realize the full construction. They did a number of years ago an upgrade of Dry Falls, the parking lot there, and they actually did the cabin and partially paved the road near the cabin where they were going to put in the sky bridge. But funding never occurred for the full project and they ran out of money. So we're now encouraging our congressman and the Forest Service to work together to where this can be a reality. And one of the things that's so important is safety. During this, especially during the summer months and fall, we have a problem on 64 with backups, which are hazardous, of people trying to get into Dry Falls. The plan would be to divert most of the traffic to that parking lot over by Paul Walding and have people walk the sky bridge. And then buses and handicap parking would be at the existing parking lot near the falls. So they've got a plan. I'm optimistic as government goes that this can get funded. And I think it would be, again, a very good tourist attraction for this area. And at the same time, it would address a critical safety issue on 64. So I'll keep you posted on that. And that's my report. And next, I'll turn it over to the commissioners if they have any updates or reports. Okay. Nothing on the part yet?
Not yet.
Okay, all right.
Lester will be talking about that in a few.
Okay, very good. And then I know that our town manager, Josh Ward, has some updates and reporting to do.
Yeah, so several updates on our capital projects we have going on. Gibson Street project where we're putting sewer and water. They're almost completed with the sewer line. They have experienced a lot more rock than they thought they were going to. That was in the contract. We talked to the engineers, Lamar Nix and I did this week. They're going to have to be an amendment to the contract for that rock. They're going to be starting putting the water line in soon, but they're requesting a 60-day extension, which the engineer recommends. So we'll be updating you as that moves forward. Also, the Dog Mountain project, Withers Ravenel, our engineering firm was here this week, met with Lamar. They're looking at the surveying and some of the locations for the tank. They're going over the design on it. The timeline on that, it looks like will be toward the end of 2024 before construction will start. So it's just a long drawn out process, and it just continues to lengthen because of all the hoops we have to jump through the state for the funding that we've accepted. So they're continuing to work on it. The dredging and the water plant improvements that we recently got funding on, we have heard some notifications from the state on that. So we're moving forward with RFQs for the engineering for both of those, so we can get that process started. And both of those will be the same boat that we're in with the Dog Mountain project. It'll probably be a 2-year time lag before we get started with construction. Also, Wingina and Upper Lake Road have been abandoned by the state to the town. So Lamar and his crews are going to be improving those and preparing those to be paved, and hopefully Upper Lake Road with Big Bear Pen improvements starting the end of April is what the DOT is saying now, that they have let the bid to a construction company to widen Big Bear Pen. So they'll start the end of April. They'll need that detour through Upper Lake. So hopefully to get that drainage fixed there, and we can pave that this spring, hopefully before that starts. The town board will have a retreat to discuss the capital items. And there'll be some other water and sewer stuff to discuss there. That'll be March 7th here at the rec park. Also this week, I think Officer McCall brought to my attention and Lamar's attention some issues with the road shoulder up on Little Bearpen Road. And we went up there and looked at that, and the edge of the road as you come down is caving off there at the edge. We've had some issues in the past with the pavement breaking off there, and there's no shoulder. So it's to the point now we put cones up all down that area to alert people. So we're going to have GSI come in that did the soil nail on Chowan as well as the Gorge Road. They're going to come in a few days and meet with Lamar and look at possible fixes for that. And also we need a guardrail in that area right now. There's not enough room. So we'll be giving some updates on that, hopefully by the retreat.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. All right. The next item would be the consent agenda. Do we have any questions concerning what was in the consent agenda packet? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent
Okay.
agenda as approved.
Make a second.
Second, very good. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. The next item, item number 9, is Our Lady of the Mountain Catholic Church conditional zoning request. Michael Mathis.
Thank you, Mayor. So here with me tonight representing the Catholic Church is Father Barone, who is here in person, and on Zoom is Mr. Emmett Sapp. They can answer any questions you have. If you have any tonight with the Catholic Church, the purpose tonight would be to set a public hearing for next month's meeting.
Okay.
So I'll read the memo that I had sent out to the board. Our Lady of the Mountains submitted a conditional zoning application to the Planning Department on November 30th, 2023. According to application number 113023 CZ, the petitioner is requesting a conditional rezoning from R2 residential to B1 commercial conditional zoning district. The subject property is 2.39 acres and is located in the balance of the Water Supply Watershed 3. According to section 4.5.1 of the Unified Development Ordinance, conditional zoning district decisions are legislative decisions subject to judicial review using the same procedures and standards of review as apply to the general use zoning district decisions. Before the Board of Commission rules on a conditional zoning request, the UDO requires that the zoning and planning boards review the proposal and give their recommendations. According to the proposal, the site will be developed in 3 phases. Sheet C201 of the proposed plans indicate that the existing amount of impervious surface is 0.49 acres or 21% of the lot. Once all 3 phases are complete, the post-development amount of impervious surface is projected to be 0.90 acres or 38% of the lot. According to section 8.4.3 of the UDO, non-residential lots in the watershed 3 balance the watershed. that exceed 1/2 acres are permitted a maximum of 50% built upon area. The applicant's conditions can be found in the agenda packet. The Town of Highlands Zoning Board of Adjustment reviewed this application in December. Their recommendations were to approve the request subject to following changes. The statement, originally they had a statement about an exemption from the community design standard, and it was actually removed from the applicant's conditions. The size of the parking area should be reduced if it affects the buffer between the church and the Hudson Library. And also the Town of Highlands Planning Board reviewed this application in January. Their recommendation is to approve the request. The planning board did affirm the zoning board's conditions and added that 4 parking spaces on that southeast corner of the property closest to the Hudson Library be removed to preserve a buffer between the parking lots. And that is the staff report I have. If you've got any questions for me or for Father Barone or for Mr. Sapp here with us tonight.
I guess my question was, is the parking can be in the setback area
Yes.
or any zone or?
Yeah,
Because. So parking is not the same as the building.
no,
So almost tenement like a driveway.
yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, there's a difference between driveway and parking.
All asphalt
And if it does,
No, it's gravel.
or gravel.
and if it does surround residential or something, we do have those buffering requirements for like your B4 parking lots and stuff. So it would be harder to actually run those up the property line and still be able to do a buffer.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, is it was supposed to be a buffer there.
But correct me if I'm wrong, even if you can have a driveway there, you can have parking there. You can build a retaining wall in order to form that parking and grading within the setback. But you do have to have the buffer, but it can be within the 10 feet.
What for this parking?
And I'm just in general.
There's no buffer there.
Well, for this,
I
there would,
understand.
yeah,
Yeah, but if the conditions that the planning board and zoning board both wanted to accomplish, then there would be a buffer.
yeah, there would be that buffer of the existing
Correct.
tree line. And of course, they could do some planning, Hudson Library.
I
Do
didn't
some
quite
plannings at that
understand
point.
how 4 spaces were gonna give us the buffer there.
They had run an aerial, and I don't know if we can show
Yeah, I saw the picture.
that. That's just going off the aerial they provided. They thought there was 4 spaces that if they were added there and those trees were cleared, then you would have 2 parking lots side by side. So whenever you swung under the Hudson Library, you would actually be looking directly at that parking lot for the Catholic Church. If you swung under the eave, like you were pulling into the Hudson Library, you would be able to see
Okay, but
that
if
park.
you're in the library looking out the windows, you're looking at.
Yes, you would be looking at buffer at that point, but it would just be from that parking lot area. That
So there's a buffer too?
well, there's the existing buffer between,
There's a
on
tree
the
line.
Hudson Library side.
yes,
But not on. the
no,
other side.
that would have a parking lot on it.
Because to me, I thought B3, which is what Hudson Library is, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Has a 10-foot setback.
Not for parking that I'm
Just-
aware
just
of.
For building.
Yes, for a building setback.
Any other questions?
But the buffer that's shown is only going to be visible from inside the library. Library.
So, yes,
Sorry, I'm
so
from the south.
But the buffer that's shown is the library.
it would be the trees in between, yes, where the library's trees are in that added parking area.
Well, we're showing a buffer on more than one of the
I can tell where that buffer's gonna be.
on this CDC C201. What's marked in green would be the buffer on the church side.
Sorry, I'm trying to navigate.
Which is about halfway of the church building. If you look at the area.
Yeah. Again, we've got parking that's running, the rest of it runs all the way up the property line. So there would be no buffer required.
Well, that was my question. Do we allow
Right,
it to go up without a buffer?
right. Can that parking area be moved away from, successfully be moved away from the property line a couple of feet to allow a buffer all the full distance?
Emmett, do you want to answer that?
What would be the width of the buffer? Are you talking about it having it be the same width as what we're showing in the green hatched area?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Just a buffer.
the minimum part of not where it balloons out at the end.
It's yes, it could be possible. I think that we'd have to adjust some things, but I think that it could be possible.
Okay. I'd like to see that.
And that
If
could be
it's
even,
possible,
that could even be a condition worked out between this board and the church as well
Yeah.
as a part of the approval.
Yeah.
It's a gravel parking lot.
Yes. I don't believe we require it to be paved.
No, I'm just worried about the wetland area.
Oh,
We get eroded. I mean, we're paving everything we can find that's gravel now.
Yeah.
To keep that erosion from silting up.
Is it gravel because they can't pave it from a built upon limit thing, or is it gravel because
Well,
that's
the
what they?
gravel
Gravel's
still has to
impervious
be,
too.
still counts.
It would
as
still be-
impervious.
Yeah, it would still be built upon. So I will let either Emmett or Father Brown answer that question.
The gravel that's in there now is right now driven by budget. It's not driven by a requirement.
Okay.
Could that be curbed so that it holds the gravel in? I mean, I guess that's going to stretch the budget even further, but then that would eliminate the possibility of the gravel going into the.
So if you just use gravel, it's one thing, but if you use pressure running, that all runs out.
Yeah,
Down into the
yeah,
water.
yeah.
That'll just.
It's Yes, and we do have some proposed curb and gutter there, and we also show a proposed storm BMP to
Right.
which all runoff would drain to and be treated before release.
So how did you arrive at the number of parking?
That is the number that they provided. So of course, the B1 would not require any additional parking, but with it being a B1 conditional zoning, they felt that adding, the maximum amount of parking that they could onto their property would be neighborly to help support some of the parking needs. I don't know if 25, I believe, is it 25 on the plans? So I don't know if 25 is their exact max, but Emmett, Father Brown, if either one of y'all wants to, if I've missed anything on that. I'll sit you there.
In considering our parking thus far, we currently don't feel as though we have any problems or that we present a problem to the town. We also understand that we're projecting for the future, and so we would like to increase some parking. And so this does represent a modest increase in parking. But the biggest thing is, and that's been driving everything, it's been the budget. And the fact that we don't want to turn our whole lot into a parking lot if it's not needed.
And let me
I
ask you
agree.
this, Father. Compared to the sanctuary you have now, how many more seats are you adding? Not that many, are you?
Hardly any.
Okay. I
You have
wrote,
16 now, is that what it is?
We have 18 parking spaces, and this is projected to 25.
I rode by on Sunday and toured the parking patterns of the Episcopal Church, the Presbyterian Church, and the Catholic Church. And a lot of parking is used by the library that's closed, and then on the street, you have some parking in the park area, but it didn't seem to be, that big of a problem.
I mean, we're at full capacity for an hour,
Yeah.
90 minutes, or during the season, I mean, Saturday is not even full capacity. So, I mean, it's very few hours during the week.
I would make this observation though, and I think we've had this conflict before. If a wedding was being planned where it's gonna be a big wedding and it was like on a Friday afternoon or something where we have commercial activity, then everybody just has to plan and be aware that, that pressure might be there on those kind of days, or if we're having an event in the park. Any other questions? Michael, you'll need a motion for public hearing. correct?
Yes, let's just go ahead and set a public hearing for the March.
And we'll have the public hearing and then make a decision, but some of these issues that we've asked about as a part of the process of conditional zoning, they can be addressed at the next meeting.
Yes, absolutely. This board, has the authority to put any reasonable conditions onto this application. Of course, the other party does have to agree to it in writing, so.
Sure, okay.
Make a motion. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Amy.
No, I can ask the questions at the next meeting.
Okay,
Well, I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing for the conditional zoning request of the Catholic Church
second, any further,
At the next,
at the next
at the
meeting,
next meeting.
March meeting? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand, and signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. We'll have a public hearing at the next March board meeting. Thank you, Michael. Okay, the next item will be the Unified Development Ordinance Amendments, section 2.3, commercial and public and civic building definition, and then section 10.3.6, street paving requirements. Michael Mathis.
Yes, sir. So I did not provide a memo for this. Of course, we reviewed this at our last workshop meeting. The changes reflected in section 2.3 were, of course, the addition to the public and civic buildings as well, meeting the North Carolina Commercial Building Code. And then I don't know, do you just want to address those one by one? I need to set public hearings for the next meeting on these, or if there's any additions, we can go back and change those and bring it back to you next month.
or are we gonna decide which proposal we're gonna use today or at our next?
We will do that one. I just, is everybody good with the 2.3? The definitions addition in there? I think it was pretty straightforward from that. So I believe, should we go ahead and set those public hearings separately, Josh, or can we do it all in one, or Gibby? Separate. So if y'all want to go ahead and set it for section 2.3 for next month's meeting. for public
Okay.
hearing.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second. Okay, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Thank you. All right, now let's go to section 10.3.6.
Yes, so this one, of course, I provided what the current ordinance is. And then I had that proposal one, which I brought in front of y'all at last month's workshop. The only thing is I did change it to say all streets designated private shall be paved in accordance with the applicable review authority standards and specifications. So it just mimics what's already set in stone for the public streets. I also added the POW bill. Commissioner Dotson had brought up possibly doing, instead of just designating public or private streets, designating maybe POW bill program roads and non-POW bill program roads. So you've got option 2. And then option 3, really just trying to simplify what's on file. I just had the possible thought of just adding one simple sentence in there, just saying all streets in the town of Highlands, if it's designated and meets the criteria to be designated a road or a street, not driveways or anything like that, that they be paved. Whether they're private or public, whatever, it's just any street. If it's serving 3 or more houses, you got to pave it. Comes into a subdivision, it's a new created road or something like that. And I'm open for any suggestions. I can take these back, change them however you would want them. We can proceed with whichever ones. You just let me know how to proceed.
Well, I think the simplest way is just say pave them all.
Yeah. And that's
Option
what I think we were trying to say with the current ordinance is
Yeah,
pave it.
That way you don't have to say, well, am I on a Powellville road or, and who designated it? How is it designated? Is it designated in my mind or your mind or whose mind is it designated?
And I think,
This way it's all roads. And since you're doing it for designated and undesignated, that means all roads.
I agree with that. And also, if you'll notice that you had brought up, Commissioner Patterson, about the commercial subdivision. Why is that in there? Really, it shouldn't even address subdivision. We were talking about streets, street paving, so it should just be street paving. Whether it's for a subdivision or not, that's what most of them are for when a subdivision road goes in.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to go with option 3.
Or is that option 2?
Was that option all
It's-
streets?
Well, it's all streets, but it just has different for public and private. The other one doesn't mention public or private, it just says all streets.
Yeah.
And that is option
That one's
3.
not.
Option 3 would just be one simple sentence that said, all streets in the town of Highlands, whether they're public or private. Of course, proposed ordinance 1, number 1 at the top, has the public street, private street. It kind of defines those or pulls those apart. And then all I did was copy what was already on the books for that A, public streets, for private streets. And then that proposed ordinance number 2, all I did was substitute PAL bill program and not PAL bill program. So there are 3 to pick from there. And
How are we gonna, as far as private streets that are currently gravel, how's that affected?
so I would view it, and Bob can overrule me if I'm wrong. I would view that as a existing road. And I don't have any type of clause in here that would require that private community to
It's
bring
called-
those up to compliance. So at that point, they would just be
It's
grandfathered
grandfathered.
roads.
It's called grandfathering.
So
Yeah.
they're potentially never gonna be paved if they opt to continue to maintain it with gravel.
If it's a private road. Yeah. Bob, would you like to weigh in on this?
So I agree that I don't think you can pass an ordinance to force a community that has gravel private roads to go out and pave them. Going back to what I'm understanding are 3 alternate proposals. If you're comfortable moving forward with one of them, that's fine. But there is no reason you couldn't move forward and have a public hearing on all 3 options. And then you could choose after the public hearing. So either way works legally.
Thank you.
Probably works best.
Yeah.
It would just to also set a public hearing for next
Yes,
month's meeting.
so I'll set, I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing on, street paving, 10.3.6, at the next regular board meeting.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by raising your hand saying aye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Item number 11, Sherwood Forest Sewer Line Acceptance Request. Tracy Ford, Sherwood Forest Homeowners Association.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Tracy Ford. My wife Trish and I reside at 74 Sherwood Forest Road in Highlands. I'm the treasurer of the Sherwood Forest Association and the HOA, which is the HOA for Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest was originally platted in 1982 by Ms. Colin Lindsay, who went by the name Liz. She formed a solely owned corporation, Liz Development Company, which lightly developed Sherwood Forest over the first 35 years. As is customary, Liz Development deeded the water lines and the roadways to the town of Highlands several years ago. However, for a reason nobody's been able to tell us, the sewer was not also deeded at that time. Although I believe it's often done so when a development is completed. No owners in the addition were aware of this until 2020, when I happened to discover a sewer leak at the top of Sherwood Forest, unfortunately. And upon contacting the town, I think I spoke to either Josh or Lamar at that time. I was informed that the town did not own, or the town didn't own the sewer, but Liz Development still did. Unfortunately, that was not the HOA though. And so we got in contact with Liz Development, the developer. We're told that Ms. Lindsay had passed away. And so this solely owned LLC was now in probate, or her estate was in probate. And we were assured by the attorney that they would deed the sewer line to us so that we could then contact the town and turn that over to the town. Well, the estate was closed without that ever occurring. So we, as an HOA, hired an attorney to file a quiet title action in Macon County so that we could obtain title to the sewer. That was a 2-year process. After a lot of money, we now have title through a default judgment that was recently filed in Macon County. So Sherwood Forest Association, Inc. is now the proud owner of its own sewer line. And my request today, the reason I'm before the commissioners, is to ask that, as has happened in the past, that we were able to turn that sewer line over to the town. This request, I believe, would benefit both parties by ensuring proper inspection and maintenance of the sewer line and by preventing any negative environmental impacts. Our addition does border the Colasaja River. Several of our lots border the Colasaja. My home is very close to the river itself. And as a development that borders that river, I think it's critical, probably more so than most neighborhoods, that the sewer line be protected and we make sure that it's properly maintained. So it is my understanding that both Josh Ward and Lamar Nix have recommended accepting on behalf of the town. And I can think of no one who's better qualified to make that judgment than the two of them. So that is my request before the commission today.
Thank you. And let me just, I read Mr. Nix's report and assessment and everything. And when you have a sewer leak, quick response with the experts, that's always what is needed. And our crews know how to make those repairs quickly. So Mr. Nix supports this, and it has safeguards in it that we will own the sewer line, but there can be no extensions or anything without our review and permission. Correct.
Okay. So I guess the first question I have is that, was it built to our town standards?
Lamar, would you come up, please?
I mean, and that may be one of the reasons that we don't accept things, is if they do it the way they want to do it, not the way the town has told them that it needs to be done for our safeties.
The sewer line was constructed under a permit from the state of North Carolina. A licensed engineering firm was hired to design it, inspect the construction, and follow through with it. It is a low pressure sewer system in its entirety, and low pressure sewer. Every house on that sewer line has to have a grinder pump to pump it downhill to the force main.
Low pressure.
To the force main coming from the hospital.
Oh, because of the force main.
Yeah. But yes, to answer your question, it was built to a standard that the town accepted at the time. The only difference between then and now, the force main that they had to build along US 64 to connect to the town, if it were built today, it would not be built with PVC. It'd be built with another material, most likely.
Ductile iron.
But since that happened by the developer, other entities have also connected to it, such as Highlands Cashier's Hospital and many other entities. But to answer your question, what they're asking for us to accept,
it's not a liability for us.
it's no different than any other low pressure sewer system in town, and it would be designed exactly the same.
Okay. Any other questions?
Is that it, Amy? I thought you said you had more than one, or?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
Well, then I'll make a motion.
I just don't want us to
Yeah,
suddenly have to next
absolutely.
week spend $600,000 fixing a sewer line that we didn't realize was a little substandard.
Then I'll make a motion to accept the sewer line from Sherwood Forest.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. The next item, number 12, accessible parks grant submittal for the new playground left in ours.
Thanks, Mayor and Commissioner. We're here tonight to ask for approval and support to apply for the Accessible Park, or better known as the AP grant program. Josh and I have talked to Blake Covington, who is the Western Regional Consultant with the Recreation Resource Services, which handles part of grants, and we are eligible to apply for this grant. This grant program is geared toward construction of special facilities or adaptation of existing facilities that meet the unique need of persons living with disabilities, or that enable them to participate in recreational or sporting activities regardless of their ability. It is a matching grant program, $5 of state money to every dollar of local money, with a maximum grant of $500,000. These applications are due May 1st. Discussion will be held this summer, late fall. They'll be awarded. If awarded the grant, the local government has up to 3 years to spend the funds. And Josh and I also have been in conversation with Becca Scott, who is the Director of Community and Economic Development with Southwestern Commission. And if approved, they will write this grant for the town at no charge. So we just are asking for approval to move forward.
That's awesome.
And they have,
thank you, and thank you, Josh.
they have written several, Macon County, Franklin, Swain County. They know the ins and outs of these. So
And it could be possibly several $100,000.
it could be up to 500,000 as the maximum. So,
Okay.
And what we would be
And what
committing
we're
at this
doing.
point would be 100,000.
If we got 5.
If we get 5, correct,
Right.
correct. That's half of the project.
I was gonna say of the 1.4
Yeah, that's
or
1.2
whatever.
or whatever. it is.
What
Yeah.
it was.
Well, everybody knows where
So-
we stand on it. I mean, we're on
So
the committee.
I, kind of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Mhm.
we started sending her information. She wanted to get.
An official okay?
Yeah, she wanted to get to
So do you
familiar
need-
with the process.
Mr. Mayor, do you need a
We
motion
need a
or?
motion to
or
move
consent?
forward with applying for those two grants.
I'll make that motion.
You've
Okay,
made the
second.
motion.
I think Amy said,
Any on a second?
Yes.
Okay.
thank
All
you,
in
Lester.
favor? Thank you, Lester. All in favor, please raise your hand and signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item will be utility pole replacement project bids. Matt Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a background, this is a budget item from this past fiscal year. We budgeted $591,000 for the labor for this project. And we received formal bids, and of those 3 bids, we had Service Electric, Haynes Electric Utilities, and Williams Electric Utility. All 3 have done work for the town in the past and done successful work. And Williams Electric Utility came in as the low bidder at $200,500. So we're asking tonight to have the board award the grant, or excuse me, award the bid to Williams Electric.
Okay, and how much had we appropriated for it?
$591,000. That was an estimate from the highest bidder
Okay,
last year.
all right.
So say, does it make you a little bit
Well,
question why the 3 times what the?
we did. We actually, I went back through the bids, and the difference was in the energized work. So there are a number of 3-phase poles on this project that will have to be worked energized. We went through every pole with Yogi and said, can we turn the power off here or can we not? And he said, no, certain ones we needed to leave on, some, single phase poles out on a back street somewhere we could de-energize for a little while. So the price was the difference there. One pole, the highest bidder bid at $53,000, and Williams Electric bid it at $4,500. So I contacted the highest bidder, I contacted Williams Electric, and I said, you bid this at $4,500? And he said, yes, sir, that's our price for an energized pole. I said, so you're good with this bid? And he said, yes, sir. unless you allow me to raise it. And I said, no, I think we're good with that price. So
Okay.
Well, and they have done work for the town before.
they have Williams Electric, yes,
And they're all bonded.
yes.
It seems weird, but okay.
I get scared when I see that.
I do too.
We
But
did too.
Good scared.
I think I'm missing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did. So we went back through it with fine tooth comb, contacted them, said, you know, missed anything? They said, nope, that's it.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to accept the bid?
So moved.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hand and signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Matt. Okay, item number 14, LGC response to financial performance indicators, Rebecca Schuler.
So the LGC came out in fiscal year 2022 with these data performance indicators. And so the auditor actually sends that in after he does the audit. And so that was why Josh and I, neither one had seen those when he presented last time. So we had to do a little digging and find out exactly what they were and that kind of thing. So I wrote you a memo that tells you that they have a benchmark in the water and sewer for 16%. And that's to help us keep from experienced cash flow. As you know, we usually use all of our unrestricted cash to do projects. We have not financed in quite a few years. So we've just ran the excess cash down. We do need to discuss it, but we're hoping to discuss that further at the retreat. So the auditor is sending me some more information and some different things. We have talked a little bit about doing some loans from the electric to cover some of that capital, but we are probably going to have to raise some rates. Josh and I have talked about that 2 or 3 times. And evidently when we've been applying for these grants, we don't get points on the grant sections either because our rates are so low. So it's just going to be something that we have to talk about.
Our water rates.
Water and sewer.
We did a study a few years ago and we were.
But like I said, when we've been turning in these grants, they say we're under. So there is a dashboard that
It's been
shows you.
several years since we've increased
Yeah.
rates.
It's like 4 years, 5 years, I think.
So the state does a dashboard every year.
Yeah, I remember looking at the dashboard and I don't remember when it
Right,
was.
we've looked at that recently and we're low. And so I think we're combined sewer and water at $72. And they wouldn't allow us to count points toward grant unless we were up toward 80. 78 to 80.
I know last time we didn't really go up on the rate as much as we gave extra gallonage.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
adjusted how we figured the rate.
yeah, exactly.
And,
So we are going to have to look at that at the retreat.
and as the auditor has been telling us, we've had a very robust electric fund,
Yes.
which at the retreat, I think we're going to realize we're going to spend that down
Yes.
significantly. But the state now expects if you're operating an enterprise fund for utility, the rate should be enough to have a reserve to address capital and improvements.
Yes, he
And
told
we
us,
haven't had that
no.
in,
He
water and
told
sewer.
us that we should have enough in rates to cover the operating expense, the current capital and future capital, or start reserving for future capital.
Okay. So what you're asking that we make a motion to approve this response.
Yes, so that we can get it turned in by the due date and then and the response says that we're going to look at it in the upcoming budget year.
Okay. Any other questions of Rebecca?
Not to the retreat.
Okay.
I'll study hard.
So I would entertain a motion to approve this response.
Make a motion to approve the response.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
The next thing would be the budget amendments, number 15, recreation park scissor lift replacement. Rebecca, you're on.
So Lester ordered a scissor lift many years ago and they got it out to use it and evidently the batteries caught it on fire. Well, first of all, they came and worked on it and fixed it all and it worked fine. They started to use it again and evidently it caught on fire. And so they've had batteries melt in it, different things. And so they came back and looked at it again and changed them one more time, I believe. it kept smoking. And so it really was having a lot of electrical issues. And so United Rental suggested that they just get a new one at this point. But the new ones are going to be like 20-something thousand dollars, and he can get this used one for $12,100.
Does it smoke?
Hopefully they will turn it on and see.
And I think a new one takes 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years to even get it.
And we need it before then.
Yes, we got light bulbs to change right now.
And he's got a basketball goal that doesn't work either.
As what? It doesn't
A
work.
basketball goal.
With the
motor on it.
scissors left, allow them to get up and
Yes,
service
it
that.
does.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Without repelling.
Yes.
And Lester, I think the one we have had was a used one as well, correct?
This one, if we're looking at 2006. But this one belongs to a company in over around Langston, and it's been with the same company that's been indoor in the plant. The other one was one that was coming off of the rental line, and
Big difference.
Okay.
So you need a budget amendment
Yes.
for $12,100.
Yes.
Would you make that motion, please? Okay, so moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Okay.
It's not coming out of the water.
Item 16, Highlands Plateau Greenway knotweed eradication proposal, Jim Ward of the Greenway. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor, Town Board. I'm actually here, it's set on the agenda from the Highlands Plateau Greenway. It's actually from CNIPM that we are here to talk tonight.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to explain what that acronym is.
I will do that right now.
Okay, I can't remember.
Who in here knows what it is? No. I have a hard time remembering what it stands for too.
Me too.
But it's kind of cute.
So I'm here, as I said, representing CNIPM, which is the Coalition of Non-Native Invasive Plant Management.
Very good.
Non-native invasive. That's the key. So CNIPM is a coalition of 7 conservation organizations committed to controlling invasive plant species and encouraging the use of native plants for landscaping to protect the ecology and beauty of the Highlands Plateau. Those 7 organizations are Highlands Plateau Greenway, Highlands Biological Station, Highlands Cashers Land Trust, Highlands Plateau Audubon Society, Highlands Historical Society, the Land Stewards of the Highlands Plateau, and the Town of Highlands. So we are here this evening to talk briefly about the invasive non-native Japanese knotweed plant. It's probably the most prolific invasive plant we have here on the plateau. It is very aggressive. It's an herbaceous plant with a strong will to live. You won't see it out there today, but it's underground, multiplying, working hard before it comes up to the surface in spring. It grows to its full size, sometimes 8 feet tall in one growing season before dying back in the fall. A myriad of additional sprouts come up every year. CNIPM has been here with you guys before, more than once, talking about this. And we about what we can do to try to keep it under control. We have gathered experts within our organizations, along with Jim Tate, to discuss the best methods to combat this plant. We believe that spraying the fully leaved plants at the right times during the growing season with a carefully selected herbicide is our best opportunity to push it back. We have learned that we are unlikely to ever achieve full eradication of this plant. Therefore, we believe that repeated efforts each year are required to successfully reduce its foothold here on the plateau. That means we'll be back again next year. So this is a little interesting, quick history. Japanese knotweed was brought to the UK from Japan in the early 1800s. They all loved that plant. It grew fast, beautiful, great flowers, but they didn't know what they had. Of course, through there, it found its way to this comment. Here are a few anecdotes about how serious knotweed is considered in the UK. It has been a crime in the UK since 1990 to plant or transport Japanese knotweed. I bet you we could find a nursery somewhere in Western North Carolina that still sells it. So that's part of what CNIPM is doing, is educating landscapers and other people of that industry about just how serious this is. The UK has made knotweed disclosure mandatory on all deeds of sale. British banks will not issue a mortgage to a property with knotweed on its grounds. A UK knotweed treatment specialist, with a little tongue in cheek, says, is a little bit like an STD. My clients sometimes request that I arrive in an unmarked van. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want people to know they have it. They just want to get rid of it. So that's amusing, but it's also scary that they're that serious about what's going on with this particular plant in England. Thankfully, it hasn't got to that point here yet. So CNIPM has requested and received a quote from Tate Landscaping to spray the knotweed with herbicide on town rights of way and other town-owned land this year for a total quote of $4,000. CNIPM has submitted a grant request to the Laurel Garden Club to fund half of this cost in the amount of $2,000. We are here tonight to request two items from the town. One, matching funds in the amount of $2,000 to cover the balance of the cost of the work. And two, permission for a licensed applicator to spray the knotweed on town rights of way and other town-owned areas such as along trails. So I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Just, I've been involved in this a little bit in the past, and I think everybody remembers this. And so historically, we funded this to the tune of about $2,000 a year. So I'm going to make a motion that we match the funds you're looking for, $2,000 to the CNIPM knotweed eradication program.
We've got a second. Any further discussion?
I got a question. Does it have to be applied by a licensed?
Correct, yes.
Yes. Not on your, you can do it on your own property, but outside of that, it has to be a licensed applicator.
And Tate Landscaping would provide that expertise.
Yes, they actually don't have that license, but they said they would get it.
They need a public license, I think. I don't know. I think they may have private licenses.
Yeah.
I have a public license and a private license, and I did it for a certain amount of time and got out of it for certain reasons. But you need an applicator's license to apply it.
If you're doing it for others.
For others, correct.
I'm all for this. And I'd like to see it more than $2,000 because I've got it on part of my property and I hit it every year and it's slowly curling up. Is there any provision if somebody wanted it applied on their property, they just need to call Tate, and would Tate do that for free or does Tate charge?
Well,
or could we subsidize?
We had some discussion about that, and we thought the best, and particularly coming to talk to you guys, the thing to do was to talk only about town property. And of course, that means we can talk to one landowner, the town, about and get permission to spray on all of those areas. To spray on other people's land, I guess if it came as a request from them, it's much easier. But if we were to see it and then go talk to them, that would be a huge effort. But that's part of trying to take care of it. I don't think Tate would do it for free. He's in the business, but he would. I really don't know how that would.
Well, there's an ignorance out there of what that plant is, and I came across it again. I'm speaking from my experience where there were people that had it on their land, And I'd even pointed out to them and they would want it there because it offered them some kind of protection. And then,
A lot of people like the way it looks.
yeah, I mean, there's actually there's a property between Highlands and Cashers that actually planted it behind stone walls. Everybody here has driven by it, but I mean, it's crazy, but it's very prevalent out there. And I think, I mean, if you go to our town, the maintenance complex, it's like it's like a fortress surrounded by knotweed. And if you really want to see it, go down the gravel road that goes down to the old sewer plant. It's really prevalent there.
And that's just happened within the last 10 years. I mean, there were just a few plants and now it's just all the way down on both sides.
I've always heard that DOT was one of the biggest problems because they scrape it up and fix shoulders with knotweed infested rhizome.
Yes, there's no question
Soil.
that happens all the
And then
time by more than
transported by water.
the DOT. Probably most excavators.
Getting back to what Buzz is talking about though, you're saying we could maybe allocate a certain amount of money, several $1,000s. And if a resident in town voluntarily wanted it sprayed and went to Tate, maybe we would pay half the cost on that private property and they'd have to, put in or what do you, is that?
Well,
kind of
I
what
wasn't
you're
even,
talking
I wasn't even thinking about us paying half the cost. Is the $2,000 just for the chemicals?
Or in the labor.
And
To
okay.
treat town, treat
Oh,
the town.
Yeah.
But I like where you're going with that.
I think
because
Yeah, I think if we had, it's like a hotline kind of thing. Hey, I've got this on my property. Can you guys come get rid of it? And
Well,
Tate comes out or
Yeah.
some applicator
The
comes out.
problem is it's not a single application to get rid
No.
of it. It's generally
Multiple.
several years.
it's really 2 in 1 year is what I understand
Yeah,
so
you
far.
you
And
can
then it's
whack
gonna
the
be
crap
multiple
out
years.
of it with.
I got rid of it on mine when they're putting fill in there, but I actually took a paintbrush and painted every
Yeah.
single leaf.
And we've always
But I
had,
only had a few and I got them early.
Yeah.
and we've always had private property concerns and people say, oh, just go spray that. We can't do that.
Right.
But
I
if the
understand.
homeowner called and said, I'd like for you to do it over request, then that gives us an entree to address it.
And I think as a starting point, we should have a list and Tate can be one of them and a
Other
list that we can
folks.
provide of everybody that's licensed. I know Thompson has an applicator, whether or not they have a public one, I
Public is
don't
the
know.
key, yeah.
Like I think Tate is able to go onto a private property, get paid to put it on, but I don't think he can go on, like, he's not state approved for the public license or whatever.
Right.
Well, the public license, Rebecca, I don't know if she's back there, she was the one that helped me get the public license because she needed documentation from the town.
Mhm. Right. So I do think to start with, but I do think in addition to what you're asking for, because I'm 100% in favor of it, I think we should start looking at ourselves first too. If we have a huge problem heading into the sewer plant and we have a huge problem heading in other areas in our own property, we should hit that hard.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's
And I
gonna
think
be
that's
my
what
next
Tate's
question
done,
is the amount that we allot, is that even gonna take care of all of town property?
Supposedly, and I'm only just quoting what Tate said, this should take care of all the rights of way and then anything else that he can reach with a 30-foot hose from a truck.
So, but would a right of way include the old road going,
Yeah.
gravel road going down to the sewer plant?
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
Yes,
I'm gonna direct him to go do that one too. Now, I think what's important here, that we have not done in the past is to keep a record of where we spray. And try to, and then when we see it coming back up, okay, did we spray this? What did we do to it?
Assess it.
Yeah, and keep up with that over the several years that we need to be doing this.
And I've never spoken to Jim Tate about this. We never had a conversation about it, but at the same time, based on the price that we're talking about, this is not a for-profit entity. I mean,
Yeah,
$4,000
I don't think
is
it's
not a
ever been more
for-profit.
than that.
It's a
Yeah.
community service.
Yeah.
He might cover his chemicals and truck time and that sort of thing, but he's not making anything if not putting some in.
But I think the question is, right of way, town property is not a right of way. It's town property.
Right, well, I
so
want to
that's
expand it to that.
different.
And that's something
Yeah,
we can
that's
contact him.
Right away, you gotta be careful because I'll give you an example, like somewhere around, it's one of the homes around where the smokehouse is. that's what I would consider to be right away, but it's privately owned. And I smoked some knotweed there in the past and got a phone call about it. So like I'm just saying, it's like one of these things you got to be careful of, you know.
You gotta do it at night.
I used to do midnight raids. Yeah, I mean that was. But yeah.
Well, and other considerations, of course, would be how much is the wind blowing? You got to be careful about weather. And then you've got to be careful about what's behind it and then the selection of the herbicide, which we don't want to kill the things we don't want to kill. So it's not an easy thing to do.
Okay.
So I would make the motion that we,
We have a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
okay. You're, okay, sorry, you already made.
But I
a motion.
mean, it's.
But I would actually, I'll take my motion, make it take it a step further and say, I don't think you're gonna have, again, because I think what your organization does, and it does a good job of it, is like bringing awareness to what it is. Like, once you see what knotweed is, you can't help but notice it everywhere, because it's
I know.
all over the place. And, like, I don't think, like, the phone's not gonna be ringing off the hook at town hall of the, like, people calling in with knotweed infestations, but I would be in favor of the town paying more to, I mean, it's not gonna be a huge expense to eradicate knotweed on somebody's property.
Well, I think we definitely need to do it on town property, which I don't know
Absolutely,
that
yes.
SNPM does. It does right of ways, but things like around the warehouse, that's not a right of way.
But it is town property, yeah.
That's
No,
town
I'm saying, and I'm saying though, that, I mean, if I'm talking about a homeowner calls with saying that they have it on their property. I mean, I guess I take that back, because it could be, like if you look at kudzu, for instance, there's people's property that's like covered in the stuff, and it would be costly. So I don't know. I'm just thinking of a way the town could even, like even the mayor said, pay like 50% of what it would cost. But I think that's going down a slippery slope.
Why don't we move
Yeah,
forward
because then
with
you
the,
got English ivy.
Yeah.
why don't we move forward now tonight with the request, and if you want to increase our
Yeah.
contribution, that's fine, and then maybe we can work on, along with state landscapers and others, a procedure where we could have a request from homeowners that we would also subsidize or cover.
And I also think if when we do this tonight, if there's some point in the spring, summer, whenever Tate does their application, if they run out and need more, or if they see that, you know, we use more going around the barn over here, that you come back at some point and ask for more.
All right, I've got a couple of thoughts. One, maybe we need to be talking about a long-term solution, not a each year solution.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to start thinking about that, not tonight, but maybe somebody needs to come up with a plan, and our guys will think about that.
And come back.
The other is, I mentioned trying to assess where it is and keep up with where it is so that we can know whether our actions are having a result. What we need is an entity that's got some really nice GIS capability.
Well, the town did that. Matt we had maps of where kudzu locations in the town.
So I don't know whether that's something that you guys, you know, that could have one of your staff to go around, you know, just inside the city limits as a start.
And I think that's the map, correct me if I'm wrong, that Tate was using to spray off of.
It was, we had that, it's been a number of years back, our club went out and they identified it, and a small community effort. Everybody could find some on their property, came back, told us where it's at, we mapped it on the map, and that's what they used to spray from.
Yeah.
I know probably the last 5 years or maybe longer, that's not being maintained, but also don't know exactly how many years it was sprayed. That's something we could easily resurrect. We could even make a map on the phone now. I mean, they could easily use it, keep up with it, maintain it, add and subtract from it.
Okay. I think that's important to really keep a good record of what we're doing. And you're right, Matt, that time has gone by in the last few years where we've kind of lost touch with what we're doing. And I think it needs to be a more protracted, long-term effort that happens every year. So.
Okay, would you like to
Do we make?
Repropose your motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we provide a donation of $2,000 to the knotweed eradication program in Highlands,
And provide mapping assistance,
and provide mapping assistance, correct?
and with the understanding that if they need.
Yeah, with the understanding that if you do need more, that you'll come back but ultimately be working on a long range plan for this.
Okay,
And I'll be happy to help with that as much as I can.
Ryan, thank you.
okay. And we had a second. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
Jim.
you.
Okay,
Thanks, Jim.
thanks, Jim. Okay, item 17, Mayor Pro Tem discussion. We were looking at committees, and so forth, and Commissioner Patterson, brought to my attention, but we'd been discussing this, the policy on, Mayor Pro Tem, selection and election. Currently, Commissioner Steeler is our Mayor Pro Tem. I think we have been doing a kind of a yearly vote on the Mayor Pro Tem. But Josh, would you kind of give us an overview about what the policy says? I know it's in the packet we have.
Well, it says odd number of years at the organizational meeting following the regular municipal election, you'll appoint the Mayor Pro Tem. So we didn't do that. I think we did it back in
December.
I think we did it last February. So when we did it.
Yeah.
Gibby?
January, February.
Mhm.
So you just need to decide, since we didn't do it this past December, you want to do it at this point
Or continue
or wait
until the next.
till December of this year and reappoint Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay.
Board decision.
I think the current Mayor Pro Tem is doing an excellent job.
And we will just, you're
Just
going to
let him have it for
continue, and then we'll do an election
There you go.
at the next cycle.
That makes it easy.
Well,
Thank you.
because we weren't really elected, we were just.
No, we no,
We did, but when
You
then we
write
were
that
switching
down.
out and then we went back to an election, but.
we do an election, yeah.
But it was basically everybody got a turn.
Okay.
But
So-
It's really not a.
The only
I
difference
read
now
your
is that it's supposed to be on odd number of years.
Yeah.
So
That's the way
either
it's written.
do that, extend for this year.
Which is an even.
24.
Well, the second part says
No, so-
then you reappoint the next December.
Right.
So
It's every year.
it's every year. I don't know why it's so confusing, but every year in December, they're going to appoint.
Because you have an even number.
But it doesn't matter because the mayor's never out.
Yeah.
It's a
true.
perfect
There's never a
attendance.
need for.
No,
Mayor
there's
Pro
one time you missed a
I've
meeting.
missed the death in the family, something, but,
Okay.
so I'm hearing the board say we'll continue with Commissioner Steeler as Mayor Pro Tem until the next cycle, which will be in December of 2024. Okay, do we need a motion? We need a motion on this? Let's do a motion. Would you like to make a
Do you want me
motion?
to make my own motion?
Just to keep it rolling, I'll make
Okay.
a motion to keep it
And
this
you
way.
second?
Decide in December.
There you go. All in favor, just raise your hand, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Very good.
You're a good man.
Yeah. All right, that is the end of the agenda. We're at item 18, adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.